Would you not make any changes to the embargo remittances travel policy right now toward Cuba?
Well, you covered a lot of areas there, but certainly our sanctions, our embargo policies should remain in place. Castro is a dictatorship that suppresses its own people, and as long as that's the situation in Cuba, those policies should remain.
Including the remittances and the travel curbs?
Well, I would never say that I would never take a look at any of it. I understand there's a balance to be drawn there. We need to make sure that people have an opportunity, if we can, to go back and visit. But we also need to make sure that we don't line Castro's pockets. And we know exactly what he's doing with that money also.
When asked about the possibility of another Marielle, you said Fidel Castro needs to understand that wouldn't be a good idea. In maintaining the embargo and some of these policies, how much leverage do we have with Fidel Castro?
Well, I don't think it serves our purposes to detail what we might or might not do in the future with regard to any country.
Would you rule out military action?
Like I say, I don't think it serves our purposes to detail that. We're the United States of America. We can make him pay a price for that sort of thing. That's a terrible thing for him to have done. It would be a terrible thing for him to do now. And I don't think he's in any position to do that. But if I'm wrong, he needs to understand that he would pay a price for that.
This community's just lost a police officer due to gunfire from an AK-47. Does the federal government have any role, do you believe, in curbing assault weapons of that type?
The first thing that people look at is not the crime that's been committed. It's not the individuals. It's not local policies and so forth. It's always gun control. I do not think that abrogating Second Amendment rights is a good idea, period. If we could wave a magic wand and make sure that all the bad guys had their weapons confiscated and so forth and never would get them again, that'd be one situation. That's not the world we live in. We'll never be able to keep people like that from getting their hands on weapons, and it does not result in a good thing to disarm law-abiding Americans. So, I support what the Second Amendment says and what the Supreme Court says that it says, and that is that we have rights under the Second Amendment.
You spoke about immigration, sealing up the borders. There are already millions and millions, I think it's 12 million people here who are not legal.
Yeah.
What do you do about them, especially keeping in mind that in a place like this, that's who's doing the construction and the agricultural work? What do you do with those folks?
Well, our southern border is a problem. We've got to enforce the law. We cannot say that, it's beneficial to our economy, to our agricultural economy, which it is in many respects, and therefore open borders.
But as to people that are here already,
that's a big problem. But an even bigger problem would be if the number was double or triple, which is the situation that we will face if we continue to have open borders. So the first thing we have to do is secure the border against illegal immigration. It's a national security issue. We cannot go down that road forever, or we'll not be a sovereign nation. If we enforce the law and we secure the border, the people that are here themselves will go back eventually. They will not want to be arrested. Employers here will not want to pay sanctions. They will know they can't come back and forth freely, and that others will not be coming to follow them. That situation over a period of time would pretty much take care of itself. There's no automatic solution to every single person, but we would certainly be moving in the right direction.
No path to citizenship, you think, makes sense?
If they go back home and abide by the rules.
Apply
and come back, yeah. I mean, we're doing them a favor by not charging them with a misdemeanor, or if it's a second offense, a felony. If we let them go back and get in line, and then we'll decide whether or not they get to come in.
Again, because we're here in Little Havana, in speaking before you declared your candidacy about Cuba, you talked about the idea of people floating over with terror on their mind. A lot of people here thought...
I didn't talk about people floating anywhere.
You said you're in the suitcase bomb.
I did, yeah. But I did not talk about anybody floating.
Well,
anyway,
all right.
I talked about the terrorist problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But to some in this community, they thought, as your first statement on people coming from Cuba to this country to focus on the possibility of a terrorist seemed like less welcoming and more.
I think that was a Hillary Clinton news release that she put out, or a statement that she made, trying to capitalize on something when she knew better. The southern border presents a problem with regard to terrorism. Castro is a state sponsor of terrorism. Our own State Department has said that. Any state sponsor of terrorism should not be allowed to send people across the Mexican border into our country illegally. It's just that simple.
There are proposals in Congress for a catastrophe fund that would spread the risk out for states like Florida and others that face hurricane possibilities. Do you support any kind of plan like that? Does the federal government have some role in shouldering the risk here?
I cannot guarantee that I would support a plan like that. From what I have heard, my sympathy is with people who have catastrophic losses. And the government has a role to play, certainly in catastrophic occurrences that happen in this country. But this would be, as I understand it, more of a fallback for insurance companies. And I think you might induce some conduct there that would not be a good thing in terms of kinds of risks that they'd be willing to assume if they knew they had the federal government to fall back on. So I would take a look at that if it was on my desk, but I cannot guarantee that I would support that.